All right, well, I think everything's working.
Very cool.
Um, Crender, say one more thing so that way I can make sure I'm capturing you too.
One more thing, so that way you can make sure you're capturing me.
Perfect. All right. Well, this is our first attempt at doing a live stream. First one got fucked up, and I guess the channel wasn't ready. I still have the recording. Maybe I'll put it up, but um, I've been lazy. Sorry.
Yeah,
Um, it's cutting off stuff.
you're dropping frames.
No, text. There we go.
Oh,
That's good. Yep, we're good. Okay, so today during the stream, I figured we'd kind of do how some of the other big names do it, and just talk about the issues. And most importantly, 323 and 324. 324 seems to have had a massive impact on uh, players' interest to continue playing. 323 experienced a similar thing, but it wasn't as widespread. At least it didn't feel like that. I don't know if I'm just getting different vibes on that, or if you feel the same way. But
no, I'd
uh,
agree.
okay, yeah, I don't, I don't know, man. I feel like I've seen orgs, including our own. I've like 323 hit, and like half of everyone's orgs just kind of like lost interest in playing. And then they kind of limped by through 323, and some of them even managed to build up members like we did. And then 324 hits, and then we go, oh, growing pains. And then, like a month after 324, I think, are we about a month? I think it's like about a month. Feels like a month.
Yeah, yeah, roughly. Maybe a little longer. I just don't remember when it went live.
Right, but now it feels like all of a sudden everyone's just off playing other games and activities at an all-time low, and everyone's like, yeah, I'm gonna go earn money or do some cargo stuff or piracy and or I'm gonna go do some missions, and everyone's just like, uh-huh, you have fun.
Yeah, yeah. And to that point, I'm literally playing Binding of Isaac like right now, instead of being on SC. So like, you know, you're exactly right. I would be playing Star Citizen if something to draw me in to play it, but there just currently isn't. And
I
like
mean,
the
at least
getting on to do a mission thing, I like to get on every now and then to go and do a mission, but like by the time I get to my hangar, I've already thought about like, all the things that I have to do to prep for a mission, which admittedly not that bad, but the thing that really gets me is I have to get in my ship and actually fly it, which like I can't stand doing anymore with the changes that they've made with 323 and 4 to master modes. Like I just it doesn't click with me, and that's for me that's a big thing about the patch
so
cycles that
so
have
give
kept me
me
away.
give me an example of pre 323 and post 323.
So in 322, they still had the old flight model, and it felt great. The one thing I really liked about it was every ship felt unique. Like you could get into a light fighter, but like a Gladius was not the same as an Arrow, or like a Buccaneer was not the same as an M50. But now you just kind of have homogenized groups where you're either classified as a light fighter or an interceptor or like a heavy fighter
And
or
then
like
like
whatever the fuck else designations they have.
and then all those
And if
ships
you're
just feel
in
the
it,
same.
say that again.
And then all those ships in that class just feel the same.
They
There's no
are literally
unique
the
traits
same.
anymore.
Yeah, like they don't feel any different. Like
Yeah,
it just
I have to agree.
it's not the diversity has just like been stripped away in that regard at least. And
So
then yeah, the thing that like really keeps me from getting in the ship and actually flying it is having to just push extra buttons for no reason, you know? It's like a very minor thing, but it really adds up because you have to think like, "Oh, I'm leaving this station. Now I have to go to nav mode and then I have to quantum and then oh, I'm approaching another station. I have to go out of nav mode, but then it takes me so long to fly, and so like I have to go back into nav mode because I don't want to spend 10 kilometers going at 200 meters a second. But then I also don't want to fly right into the station in nav mode, so I have to go back to SCM mode, and it's just like the back and forth gets very mentally tiring. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
before, you just got in your ship and you just flew it, and that was it.
So I have my own speculations as to why they kind of introduced master modes. And I may be
All
off
right.
base, but I'm interested to know what your thoughts are as to why they decided to, you know, go with this master mode change. Do you think it was just to introduce a time sink? Do you think that it was to solve a server side problem? Do you think that it was just complete bullshit that, they were just high on something one day and they're like, ah, let's do this. They're gonna love it.
um, I think that I want to address different points. So, like the server side thing, I know one of the reasons they wanted to slow down fights was because of the effect that it had on servers. At least they claimed it had an effect on servers. And I could see that for large scale battles. Like if you had teams of people, like fleets of people on each other, like let's say, I don't know, 5 or more on each side, then it would get laggy. But that's kind of to be expected because
Right.
like you have multiple players in one location in all in different ships that need to be individually tracked and rendered by the fucking server, and like all of the damage outputs, all of the shields, all of the power, all of the components that go into a fight need to be calculated in real time, and that's a lot of stress on a server. I'll concede that point, but the thing about it was like there would often be fights that I was in like that where there would be no lag at all and work perfectly fine, and it would be like a 10v10 or whatever, and like it really depended on the individual server, especially before 3.18 when they added persistent entity streaming. Like you would get on a good server and it would work beautifully, and it was rare, but it did exist. Then 3.18 came along and it became even rarer because you have the problem of the server now has to track every single entity constantly, and that just it's basically just I would use tech debt, but it's more like latency debt. Like it's
Right.
it's too much for the servers. And so as I kept adding things on, I could see where they're coming from, but from my perspective, it worked before. Like if the problem is optimization, right? I say
Right.
optimize the server. Don't change the entire game mechanic around the server performance.
Well,
I
based
feel like
on
that's a really piss poor reason to do that.
yeah, based on what we've been seeing too, like with the tests they've been doing with the server meshing, which has been going relatively okay actually. At least
Yeah.
up to 500 people. Beyond that, I think it's a shit show. But um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so you've got with server meshing, they're seeing better frame rates because they're taking an entire solar system and they're chopping it up into little bits and giving that each little bit to a different server, and basically, I don't know if it's Kubernetes or what, but they're making all those servers talk to one another uh, and act as one whole shard.
Right.
And so it's taking all of that load that they introduced in 3.18 and 3.19 and even 3.20, and they're starting to separate it off onto separate servers, which I think is a huge step, and that's the tech that we need. The tech that we don't need, in my opinion, I think was master modes. I think it was like a temporary band-aid, but now it's in, and then they kind of need it now because now they're kind of building core systems around it, which is really effing stupid.
Yeah, I would say short-sighted, like just not very well thought out.
And it's, I agree with you. It's a tedious task. I can understand why they had to slow shit down or find a way to slow shit down, but I don't like master modes. First off, it makes it easier for pirates to pirate, and that's fine.
Yeah,
I've pirated. I've been pirated. It's a
I
fun
love
game loop.
pirating.
Yeah, it's great. I've been pirated by pirates as a pirate, so I mean that
Yeah,
shit happens too. But um, it it just makes it easier. First off, when you're in nav mode, you are the brightest beacon in the frickin' sky, right? You're generating so much power because your quantum drive is on. It is
Mhm.
always on when you're in nav mode because, when you need a dip, you need a dip. I get that. But you're generating a shit ton of power. You don't get to choose when your quantum drive is on or when it's off. It's when you're in nav mode, it's on. That's it.
Yeah,
And then in SCM mode, it's off, but your shields are on. Now that you actually have control over. You can turn off your shields, you can turn off your weapons, you can turn off all different kinds of stuff when you're in nav mode because now you've got full control. And I guess technically in SCM mode you could go into your power panel and turn off your quantum drive, but kind of defeats the purpose of being in nav mode.
yeah,
And
because then
and
you're left with no defenses at all.
yeah, and your signature's still blooming like in nav mode. I don't know if it's the mode itself that's causing the signature increase or if it's actually the quantum drive, but it just your signature is just bloomed so much and you're so easy to detect so far out. It
Yeah.
honestly is a really shitty system. There's a better way they could have implemented this. I don't have any suggestions on the spot to like offer as alternatives, but I'd like they would actually take my suggestions anyways.
Yeah, no, they wouldn't. Like,
Um,
frankly, they don't care about what we have to say on the matter. And I think part of the reason is they, as devs, don't play the game so much as they make it. And so, like, I don't know if you've ever noticed in the trailers that they put out, where, like, it'll show, or like at SitCon, where they have like one of the devs playing the game. They they fucking suck.
I knew where
Like,
you were going with
frankly,
this before you even got to that point.
they absolutely suck at the game and they don't know how to play it. And so like when they're designing things around like the average player, I think they think their experience is the average player, but they're more on the like lower end
You
of
know,
average, I would say.
it's it's funny like the people who design like the flight models and stuff like because they work so much with flying the ship, like they know how to fly the ship, but that's all they ever let that dev do is fly the ship.
Right.
But oh my gosh, whenever
And like
they're
flying doesn't translate to fighting necessarily.
wa- watching them during the FPS stuff, it was just oh my god, I
Yeah.
physically hurt watching that video.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it was horrible, absolutely horrible.
Uh, so yeah, I feel like they're designing the game for people who are bad at it, which like I guess isn't the worst idea, but the way they're going about it is just like so dumb,
Well,
you know?
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna say it. It's inevitable. I'm a longtime Eve Online player,
Right.
and as an Eve Online player, I am familiar with what a sandbox is. The development team for Eve Online before they were bought out by Pearl Abyss was fantastic because they go, here is a box, here are the rules to that box, and here are the toys we're going to sprinkle inside. Have fun. The only people that they punished were people who were
Or like people.
actively hacking, the people that were actively like scripting to like key multiple instances of gameplay to one action, like one mouse, one keyboard. So one mouse and one
Right.
keyboard would control a whole fleet. Um, like they could care less if you're running 12, 15, 20, 100 different instances of the game. And that brings them money because you're paying for that many accounts, right? They like that. But they don't like the fact that you're able to control all 100 with just a single keyboard and mouse and one operation.
Yeah.
So they would ban that. They would ban uh, those that would hack the game. They would ban those that would, you know, verbally assault people in the sense of actually threatening their real life existence. Doxing they would ban
Yeah.
for. The actual
Things that you
big
should ban
topics.
for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, I feel like 323, 324, and how wow, I almost how CIG is handling um, current events in the game, or current affairs, or however you want to word that. I feel like
Right.
they're just really, really shooting themselves in the foot because not only are they banning people who are actively trying to find a way to make the game playable, but they are also putting in time sinks into the game that make even getting from, like you said, from your hab to your ship and get out into the verse so tedious. It takes me,
Yeah,
I don't know how long it takes you, but it takes me at least 20 minutes sometimes to actually prep to get out of my hangars with everything that I need. Mainly
I'd
because
say it's about that long,
I, I,
15-20 minutes. Yeah.
I mean, you've got at least 3 minutes of travel time between locations to buy your stuff and get to your hangars. Then you have to go to terminals to put all that shit on, and then you got to go call your ship into your hangar, and then you got to put stuff into your ship or on your ship, and then you're ready to go. But by that time you're like 15 20 minutes in, and you're like, shit, I only have time to do like one mission now. When in
Yeah.
reality, like before 323 and 324, uh, I could have jumped in, quickly sprinted over to the hangars, grabbed a bunch of stuff out of inventory because, I forgot it before I even left. I'm sitting in my ship. I don't have to leave my ship, go to a terminal on the wall, which in my current hangar is an extra large, so I have to run for about a mile
Oh,
to get to the wall.
yeah. I have the same shit. The extra large hangar is just like so poorly designed in its current iteration.
Well,
But continue.
I wouldn't say it's poorly designed. I would it's a nice looking hangar depending where you spawn. They've only got two. Obviously the Southland looks like shit and I hate it. But the other one looks pretty nice. Um,
Here's my problem with it though. Like you said, the fucking access point for your inventory is only on either extreme of the hangar, and the hangar itself is like, I think it's like what, 600 meters across lengthwise. So you have
I
to
don't
run
know.
a kilometer to fucking get to your shit. Like, that's ridiculous in my opinion.
I agree. I 100% agree. But they've because of this, they've added so much time sink into the game into what you do. Obviously, they want you to be more thoughtful about your stuff before you do things, and I can agree to some extent, right? You don't want to just like run in willy nilly. It's almost, I mean, come on. This is obviously real life, right?
Yeah, totally.
Wait,
Yeah, it's not a
you,
video game.
it's not. Yeah, see? So, um, we just have to be very mindful and thoughtful about, our actions before we, go and do it, because reasons.
Mm.
um, Anyways, long story short, I really feel like 323, 324 have done nothing but add time sink. It takes me 15, 20 minutes to get out of my hangar, and then I've got to spend another 5 minutes crossing just the solar system, which by the way, Pyro is going to be what, twice, three
Bigger.
times larger?
Yeah.
And you're going to add all that complication into Pyro as well. So now we're looking at half an hour before we get from point A to point B and getting into our content. Oh, I don't know, man. It's gonna
That's
be
why I added
rough.
content to the stations in Pyro, so that you don't have to do that. But I feel
That's
like
true.
that's fucking.
Yeah. Just
I
don't
feel like
don't
that's a
fucking leave the
really weak
station.
way to get around that.
I agree. Yeah, just don't leave the station. We're just gonna go shoot people endlessly.
Yeah. Just go to the contested zone inside the station, and then when you die, you just go right back.
Well, I mean, you go in, you get your shit, you get out, you stash it away at a conveniently located terminal halfway across the station, and then you go
Of
back
course, of course.
and you do it all again. Leaving bodies in your wake, because that's what we're all gonna be about. Um,
Except in reality, you're gonna be ganked by the one fucking org that has like 30 people in strategic points along the entryway, and you're not even gonna get inside the contested zone because they're gonna have sight lines on you from, like I said, 30 different angles, and that's just gonna be the meta. It's
I know
whoever gets there first and camps it first.
I know I should have stopped you before you got onto that rant, but I just wanted to see how far you were gonna give our tactics away. Thanks a lot.
Oh, come on. It's a fairly obvious tactic. Like, I would be surprised if somebody didn't come up with that.
Right? No, just saying. Um,
No, I know.
I am looking forward to, like, as far as the exploration side of this goes, like going into Pyro. Obviously, in the Pyro playground, I know you played it, I played it. We only got to
Yeah.
experience the inner planets and the inner moons, and I enjoyed the shit out of that. I didn't even like do
It was
anything
great.
meaningful. I literally did no missions in the Pyro Playground. I should have, but I did. I didn't. I just flew
Me
around and
too.
looked at shit.
I got into 2 fights. One was on in my ship, and one was on foot, and that was about it. I won the one in the ship, and I lost the one on foot. But like, in the like 8 hours that I was in there, those were the only like real players I saw outside of the station.
The,
And
I mean,
I just feel like there
I
weren't
saw
really a
lots
lot of
of
people out there.
players. Most of them were in the station, and they were depending which station you were on, because there were some stations that literally had no armistice whatsoever. So you'd literally be spawning out of your hab and getting shot the fuck up.
Yep. Yeah.
Which, I mean, kind of
For
cool, kind
pyro,
of
I kind
not.
of like. If there were a system where you could just like, while you're dead, if that's happening, like if you, let's say you die like 4 or 5 times in a row in a short amount of time, if they had a mechanic where you could just be like, hey, I'm dying constantly in this station, let me just spawn in a different one, I feel that would work for that. But like for pyro, I'm kind of okay with there not being armistice zones in the stations.
Well,
Um,
I'm perfectly
just
fine with
because
it too.
it fits pyro.
I'm perfectly fine with there not being any armistice whatsoever, including at the gate. But
Yeah.
CIG's got to be all I don't know. I almost want to say communist about it, but like fuck, they want to protect everyone
Yeah,
except
they're kind of like a
except the
helicopter
ones that
parent.
want to kill everyone. Like if you want to kill, they don't want to protect you. They'll protect everyone else.
Yeah, go to this lawless system where morality does not apply and do
And then
whatever the fuck you want unless it's killing people, in which case go fuck yourself. Is
right.
the vibe I get.
I mean, we have this lawless system, and I still feel like they're gonna find ways to. You're gonna have those devs and those support people that are just gonna look at you, or like they're gonna go to the development team and they're gonna be like, no, we can't have that. They're putting a bad name on the game. They're killing people over and over again. I know it's a lawless system, but we have to add some kind of organization here.
That's where the Citizens for Pyro comes in. Don't you know? They added
Yeah.
factions that make no sense in the context of Pyro.
Well, in that case, I'm just gonna relentlessly and endlessly murder that faction. I think that is gonna
Oh
be,
yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
It
I'm
just has to be a
definitely, if
thing.
they allow me to, siding with Xenothreat.
I've got enough armor. I can last
Yeah,
like a
right?
whole patch. But um so 324. I know we kind of leveled more so on the 323 side, but 324, the cargo. Like let me restart this. Doink. Um sorry, we talked so long we got to the end of the Star Engine trailer. I'm gonna start it again.
Oh,
uh such beautiful artwork. Um sorry, ADD. Let's get back on track. The 324. That's what we're talking about. Um, in one word, thoughts.
boring.
Wait a minute.
It it feels boring.
What is this? I don't. This is Hold on. This
What's
is not
going
Star
on?
Citizen. That is. There we go. I knew something looked a little off. Okay.
Alright.
So, did you say boring? Is that what you said?
Yeah, boring.
Okay. Yeah, so I have a grudge. Just a wee bit. That wee bit grudge is I'm gonna take the hand tractor, I'm gonna nerf it. And then I'm gonna put in a rifle
Mm.
tractor. Okay? But now we need to make some money. What else can we do? Well, we're adding a cargo patch. I know we need a cargo vehicle. You mean like
Not a vehicle, a tool. They were very specific.
oh, right. Because, the cargo vehicle we already have, not like it's useful in any capacity whatso fucking ever.
The MPU tractor.
Huh? No, no, that one actually is slightly useful for things other than cargo too. Um,
Yeah,
no,
yeah, I love that too.
that's the one we used for cleaning out the freaking Idris deck.
Yeah, it was great. It worked perfectly for it. Like, it's a really good application of tractor beams.
It's a
It's
mini
just a flying tractor beam. It's
it's a mini
awesome.
tow truck.
Yeah, it's
Um,
great.
no, the I'm referring to the mule.
Oh yeah, that fucking thing.
The
Literally
mu
no point to it.
the mule holds one SCU in the grav claws at the front, which by the way, good luck getting them in because they don't open or freaking close. They just fold down and fold up. Worst
Yeah.
implementation of a vehicle I've ever seen. Okay, then you have 8 SCU spots on the side, because, when are you ever going to be transporting 8 SCU containers? And then you've got, what, 1 or 2 SCU underneath the ass? I think it's just 1. Might just be 1. I think it holds 2 SCU
Yeah,
total.
it's one in the front and one in the back.
So, and I don't even know how the hell you're even supposed to get something in there. Back over it? Like, what the fuck?
No, here's how you do it. You use the tractor beam, and then you put it into the back slot of the mule, and then you drive, and then you use the tractor beam to get it out of the mule, and then
But there's that
you don't use
crossbar
the
that
mule at
covers the
all.
back ass. Like, how
Yeah,
do you
I
get it
don't.
through that bar? It doesn't open.
Space magic.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know.
Okay, yeah. And then whenever you go to drag it off, it like jiggles and shakes, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, your mule's like launched sky high. It's bye.
Or it just explodes in your face and kills you. Either
Yeah,
or.
I mean, that's just as likely. Um, gosh. And then such a worthless vehicle. I don't even know why they added it. Like I was constantly like, man, they need a forklift. They need a forklift. They need a forklift. And then they give us the mule, and I was like, okay, that's kind of a forklift.
Yeah, I guess a forklift in the sense that a scythe is a lawnmower. It's really good for one hyper-specific application that doesn't apply most of the time. You know what I mean?
By most of the
Instead of
time, do you
being
mean
like
like
a generally useful tool.
99.87%?
Yeah, most of the time.
Just this very niche application that only ever happens once in a blue moon,
Yeah,
unless you
yeah, exactly.
deliberately go out of your way to make it happen. Um,
hmm
the only thing that the mule's ever been good for is um,
Duplicating.
yeah. I mean, you remember playing like Diablo and stuff, and your mule character was like your dupe character? That's exactly what this thing is.
Yeah, literally.
And they've fixed it, and then broke it, and then fix it and broke it. Like I don't know how many times, like, but it's still broken.
Too many
For
times.
any of you
Way too many
who
times.
are watching this now or later and you're interested in what the hell we're talking about, there's plenty of videos out there. I'm not going to explain it. Go find it. But yes, the mule can
Yeah.
dupe.
Yeah. It's not the best. Well, I mean, it's a great exploit if you like really don't care about following rules and want to attempt getting banned, but for the greater game economy, it's really not great.
Oh,
That's what its application is.
what's really funny? All that Genelite I had, it's gone. You know why? Because it was considered stolen.
Fucking of course it was.
And the person who gave it to me, like, willingly gave it to me because it wasn't stolen while it was in his hands. Um, he doesn't even know if he has any more left because he's banned.
Oh, one sec. Can you drag Stompy up?
Yeah. I guess I can drag that hooligan up. All right.
Hey,
Welcome,
Hey
Stompy.
guys, sorry I'm late.
it's all good.
How dare you? I mean, we're only like, I'm kidding. I'm not gonna rag on you.
We watched the Star Engine trailer once, is what I'll say.
Oh boy, how is it?
I mean, it's always
It's
beautiful.
just on in the background. Yeah, it looks great.
Oh show.
Now we're hovering over like snow-capped mountains and green valleys of Microtech, and it's just gorgeous.
Oh shit.
Space cow soon. Space cow soon.
Yeah, space cow warning. Moo.
Sweet. Oh, what a miss.
Right. So we've kind of touched on 323 and how we feel that it has incorporated a time sink into the game. And at the time of 323, first off, we all hated what it brought, which was master modes. We've already talked about the master modes. I'll offer you an opportunity to um, touch on that
Yeah,
if
I'd
you'd
love to
like
hear your
to.
thoughts.
What Master Modes did to the gameplay?
Yeah,
Yeah,
when
like
when
when
323
they came around.
dropped, when so I want two things from you. First thing,
Yes.
when 323 dropped, give me one word to explain it in your personal opinion.
Disastrous.
Okay, great. Now elaborate.
Fantastic.
Disastrous in the sense that when Master Modes came into play, PvP is a huge. It is what makes the interaction of the game happen, and you can't have player interaction without PvP, whether it be pirating, whether it be people wanting to dogfight, whether it be like orgs wanting to create events,
But
whether it
but
be
but you
racing events.
can. Haven't you ever heard of Happy Friend Funland?
Yeah, I'll agree with you with the condition that you can't have meaningful interaction without
Yes.
PvP.
You can't have
Exactly.
meaningful interaction without some kind of conflict.
Right.
And there's got to be some sort of interaction to make a game want to be played. Otherwise, you're just playing a simulator, and that's not what CIG had claimed to want to make.
Well,
It
it
is
is,
what they
but
wanted
at the same
years
time, it was
ago,
a
but they've
sandbox.
changed. Yeah. And like the other
Yeah.
thing is, if you want a universe simulator, there is already a game series there for you. That's fantastic. That is single player. It's called X. It's the X series.
X4, the one that I've been spending like most of my time on in this last patch.
X4 is fantastic. It's a really great game. It's single player. You basically get the Star Citizen experience most people want without like the jankiness. And
And unless you really like
it-
menus, in which case, yeah, I mean that's
Yeah.
perfect for you.
All I'm gonna say is that
Yeah.
if you pay $45 as an intro, right, and sign up for an MMO sandbox game, and you expect it to be fucking Happy La La Land, you're gonna get a goddamn refund.
Well,
If
all
you
right. So hold on,
expect-
hold on. Let me. I know you got more. I want to let you talk more on that,
I'm
but
gonna
I
let you
want to.
finish.
That'd be
I'm gonna let you finish after this. So I pay $45. I get a ship. Now the $45 is one of two ships, right? So the Mustang and the Aurora. The Aurora doesn't have any real cargo capacity other than a 2SU underneath the ass.
Mhm.
However, it has 4 guns, and it's
Yeah.
quite maneuverable. I mean, it's not attractive looking, but it can fight.
Yeah.
Okay, now the other one is the Mustang. Doesn't really have any cargo per se, other than an openable container you can physically shove things into. But it's
love putting
primarily
bodies
used for
in that.
guns, right? It's primarily used because of its guns, and it has like what, four
Yeah,
or
it's a
five?
combat ship.
Is it 5
Or at least
guns?
it's trying to be a combat ship.
Yeah.
I think it can go 6, right? Isn't it like 2 on the front and then one on each wing?
I know it has a turret, and the turret holds 2, so it might be 4.
Oh yeah, it might be 4 then. I think it's 2 on the turret and then 2 on the wings that are optional on some models.
So, anyways, I get into the game, and the 2 cheapest ships they offer me, their primary influence is combat.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna shoot some NPCs, but every NPC I shoot doesn't pay me money. There's no bounty on these NPCs. You know, like in EVE Online. Like, I can shoot an NPC and get paid. Literally.
Yeah.
Every 15 minutes. And then I don't need a mission for that. I just shoot something, it dies, and I get paid.
Yeah.
They don't have that here. So now I'm not earning money on my time to kill. However, there's missions, and I have to fly to a destination, and it says kill these specific people. So I kill them, and it goes, great, here's a hay penny.
Mhm.
And I'm referring to a hay penny in the concept of, great, I just got paid, I'm going to go buy me something nice, and I go to the shipyard, and I go, oh god, the cheapest ship is like $2 million.
Mhm.
And I just got paid like 20,000. How many times do you have to do 20,000 before you get 2 million? Don't do the math, it's a lot.
Yeah.
But they go, oh, but you can get reputation and get better missions. Every so many missions you do, you rank up. What they don't tell you is if you do it with a buddy, you only get half that reputation. It takes twice as long.
Yep.
It's not like they go, oh,
By the way.
thanks. Thank you. So now, like, I've got a combat ship. I can't earn any money off of it because I can't go do cargo missions with 2 SCU. I can't go kill people for money because I get, pennies. I can't. What do? I'm just gonna go have fun with it. What's the best way to have fun with guns? Shoot something else that moves, like a
Maybe a
player.
player.
Yep.
And
But then you don't
it
get the satisfaction of it being a gimme and an easy fight.
right. It gives you something finally, a sense of accomplishment if you manage to kill someone, especially in Aurora. Jesus Christ, right? So you kill someone in Aurora, that's a massive accomplishment. So much so that there's a whole org funded or like themed around it.
Or a squadron. Yeah.
Exactly. They
It's
literally
like the
fly
top
nothing but Auroras.
PvPers from, yeah, like top PvPers from top PvP orgs get together just to go fly around in an Aurora swarm and fuck people up. And I thought it was beautiful. It's like one of my favorite parts of this game.
And this was before
Because it
Master
made you
Modes, when
afraid of an
numbers didn't
Aurora.
fucking count. It was skill that counted.
Yeah. Exactly. So they had skill and numbers in like one of, let's be honest, the worst ships in the game. Not the worst. It's definitely on the lower end of the spectrum, but that didn't matter because they had the skill to make up for it.
Right. And it just, the one sense of accomplishment that we get flying a ship is the ultimate competition of challenging my skill versus your skill. And I come out on top, I take you out, and now I'm like, yes, I'm feeling good because I just beat you. That's a sense of accomplishment that the missions don't provide because you don't get dick for cash. The only way people actually get cash in the game is they fucking exploit. And then they go, okay, now I've got enough cash, and I'm going to go help someone else. I'm going to drop a million on them and let them get started, with their cargo business or whatever. Drop a million over here or 10 million over here, and they're just handing cash around. And don't get me wrong, it's nice to have, someone just kind of give you a head start, right? Here's 2 million to buy your first ship to actually go do something meaningful. The starter ships are not meaningful.
Yeah, no, like I've definitely been that person that like I see someone in global and they're talking about like, oh, they're new, they're not sure what to do. Like they see this ship and they like it, but they don't have enough money and like, blah blah blah. Sometimes if I'm feeling myself, give them the money to get it, and I'll just be like, go get your fucking ship, get your game on. And I don't do that anymore because one, the ship prices are all inflated, and two, I don't have that much money because I can't really make that much money anymore. So. And that was one of the things I like to do was help people, and I just can't do it.
Same.
And I'm sorry, Stompy. I know I said I was gonna have you like finish your thought, but I kind of went off on a tangent and I got way off topic.
Good.
So, 323 master modes. You're talking about your opinion of how you didn't like it.
Yeah. Well, like even with that, like the interaction, like the bigger the ship, the bigger the risk. And so you're not really much of a risk as a new player, but the more you play, the more gradual the gravity of the risk becomes with the bigger ship because it's more money, of course, right?
Right.
And personally, I don't go for colonies or Corsairs unless I'm really feeling like I need to get.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think people are really feeling the risk on large ships right now either because there's no penalty for loss.
Yeah.
Which eventually
there's really no risk right now.
Eventually, there will be a penalty for loss. The ship will just be gone, straight up gone, unless you've got insurance on it. But we don't know how that's going to look just yet.
All that investment money, though.
Yeah.
Like, who knows? That could have been somebody's last 10 million they dropped on RMC. Who knows?
I mean, now that, okay, I understand that, but I mean, the ship
That's
itself.
A different thing.
Yeah. The ship itself, I get, but if you're pirating, then, I get that. If you're just shooting someone, or even someone dumb, they're full of cargo, and they decide to, like, jokingly play around and fire some bullets at you, so you're like, okay, you know what? Fuck you.
Yeah.
And then they whine and cry because they lost 10 million in cargo.
But that's completely their fault because they just were not planning out their trade routes correctly. Like, you have to look at how much money you have because you have to have enough money to get more cargo when you're done. Because like even if you fail, you should have money back to fall back on. Exactly. If you don't, then you're just an idiot.
Well, that sounds like half the player base you in cargo though.
Well, yeah, half the player base is idiots. Frankly, like that just follows what is it, like the distribution rule for intelligence or whatever. It's like half the people are dumber than the average intelligence.
Yup.
All right.
Like,
So I wanna before we move on to 324, I wanna offer each of you a chance to maybe give a suggestion or opinion on the off chance that someone from CIG actually sees this and gives a fuck. What would Stumpy? What would your suggestion be to help and or fix master modes aside
In
from
terms
completely
of
removing it?
in terms of player interaction for master modes, you're not really giving a player a fighting chance for somebody who doesn't know how to dogfight. Now, I'm not gonna say boost everything back up to 100%. It takes skill, yeah, it takes skill, but that if you really wanna, and I'm biting my tongue on this really hard, by the way, like the skill ceiling that attracted me, as well as other games, always set the bar high, and that's because I pride myself and push myself to want to accomplish a challenge. I understand that other people are not like me. I am probably a very small percentile, which thank God I'm in an org that is in this small percentile of like-minded players, to welcome a challenge, to want to get the best of somebody else who has beaten them and would do anything at any cost to do so. But some people aren't like that, which is obviously the case. Now,
Hey
if
Stumpy,
we want to talk,
what org is that? What org are you part of?
that is hit Ulstern Interstellar Tactical. But
Close enough.
tactical?
Fuck, interstellar tactics is what it is.
Oh well, fuck.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, just the people like who don't have that hard grind, hard drive, competitive mindset need to be accommodated to. And if that's the majority of the player base, I get that. But you're not giving anybody a fighting chance to learn and develop themselves and kind of increase their own skill with a super low skill ceiling that involves freebies and numbers. And if they did something along the lines of, you know, maybe increasing I'll say it, keep the nav mode at like, you know, let's say like 1100, 1000, right? But like increase the SCM guns mode to like, let's say 600.
So
Lowball and say 5 or go crazy and say 750.
Bring the speed back up is what you're saying.
Yeah.
so
To a certain degree, like.
to kind of sum up what you're saying is just bring the speed up.
Yeah, just bring the speed. Sorry. Bring the speed up to something that enables players to require a small challenge to, you know, like learn how to maneuver, learn how to merging and the
I sucked at that.
taking out of. It was like, and that's the thing. Like I treat it like a game. Like you know, like the triangle.
It's almost like it is a game.
You treat the video game like a video game? That's crazy.
Well, no,
Why would
I
you do
know.
such a thing?
I treat the challenge in itself like a video game is something I can relate to, because if it's something I can relate to and understand, that's just more of something that I can kind of grasp onto and use as an anchor to increase my skill, because it's a concept that I'm very unfamiliar with, but I was able to put into layman's terms that makes this something I can kind of, you know, guesstimate on my own. So,
Stompy and Corendor, did either of you ever play Dark Souls?
no.
Yes, I've played all of them.
Okay, what attracted you to Dark Souls? How difficult it was, or how easy it was?
Neither. I would say the mechanics attracted me to it. Like, I really liked the way that fighting was structured in that game. And it was hard as fuck. I was never good at it, but I really enjoyed it because the gameplay felt good.
Did it always challenge you? Always offer a challenge? Something
Every single time.
Yeah, see?
There was never an enemy, not even a common one, that I didn't struggle with, you know?
And how popular is Dark Souls?
Immensely.
CIG,
Yeah, like,
you got some work to do.
Yeah.
give
So
players something
Stompy,
to like amount to work towards, basically.
yeah. Stompy touched on a point that I want to give some personal experience for, because it was literally my experience playing this game. I came from Elite Dangerous. I played that for like around 700 hours, and I was always like, you know, like one of the mine types. I got kind of into PvP by the end of it, but like I didn't like how it was a solved game. Like in PvP in that game, you do one of three things. You either do a Fer-de-Lance, or a Fer-de-Lance, or a Fer-de-Lance, and each one of those has a different build that has also been solved. So like all the components, all the guns, everything about the ship. You have
So
one of three configurations that you use, and that's pretty much it.
so in
Because
other
that's the
words, there's
optimal
no level
solution.
of creativity to uh,
Not if you want to be proficient, yeah. because
enjoyably get the
game
upper
was just
hand.
Structured that one. Like if you wanted to be like in the upper echelon of fighting in that game, you had to pretty much use that ship with one of the three builds.
You know what
And
I
so-
loved? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, you know what I
I'll get back
loved
to it.
about EVE Online? There was always something to counter whatever the fuck you were flying. It doesn't matter what ship you have. There is always something it is strong against, and always something that it is weak against. It didn't matter. You could fly any faction, any pirate ship, anything. Any ship that you're in has a counter, and any ship that your opponent is in has a counter. Question is, when you come across each other, whose counter is whose?
Right.
Yeah.
And on top of that, not only is a ship a counter, but let's say your opponent has the counter to you, but you've got a loadout, you've got a fitting for your ship that is unique and probably never been seen, or rarely used, or I don't know, maybe you're just one of those like pioneers that like to just fuck with shit
Something
and
that makes it your ship, right? Like nobody
Well-
else is using this.
I wouldn't say your ship, but like it allows you to put character to your own tactics.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Fair.
Okay, and so you've got this ship that maybe is the underdog in this particular fight, but because of how you outfitted it, the standard tactic to fight your ship is not as effective as it could be. And because of that, if they manage to even mess up once, you get the upper hand, even in an underdog ship. That's what I loved about
Yeah,
EVE
so
Online. Didn't matter what you flew.
Diversity in the ship build is like the thing, right?
It was diversity in the ship build, and the fact that every ship had a counter, no matter how big or small it was.
Right. So to contrast that with Star Citizen, it's kind of more the case that the way that they design the ships in Star Citizen, they all are supposed to. I'm gonna really put emphasis on supposed to have their own unique roles within the ship ecosystem. Like an arrow is not supposed to serve the same function as a Gladius, but they're supposed to have the same overall feel of being a light fighter, right? But like in practice in the old game, I'm talking like in 3.15, let's say, like way back when I was first playing, those ships really just came down to how you flew them. And so like my favorite ship to fly at the time was the Banu Defender, which a lot of people will say was not a good choice for fighting. And honestly, in a lot of ways it wasn't. But there was something about it that made it really unique to fight with, that being its horseshoe shape. And the reason I liked it is because it had a lot of acceleration in all directions, and it had a very odd cross section. So when people's guns were auto-targeting the ship, like when they would just target and the guns would, gimbal or whatever,
And you'd
and
roll
they
the
weren't
top
using
side.
fixed, it would always aim for center mass, which was just a big hole in my belly, right? So like what I would do
Smart.
in the Defender was I would always be moving in a way that the shots just went right through my arms and never touched me. And because of the gimbals on that gun, and on that ship rather, the way that they're set up is you have two guns, one on each end of the arms, way out in the front, and then you have another two basically right under your cockpit. And so those two guns under your cockpit with the gimbals had a lot of reach because you are pushed back by your arms, right? And
Mhm.
so they would basically act as like, let's say lances, kind of, where they would keep distance between, they're like pole arms. They keep distance between you and your target. And with the gimbals, you could basically shoot way the fuck off axis and land hits while evading in the Defender. And not a lot of people flew it that way. I'll be honest. Like it was
yeah.
very rare to see people fly the Defender efficiently, and I did well in it because of that. because people didn't know that you could use it in that way. And people who were good at PvP would tell me like, "Oh, you should try a Gladius. It's much better." And I'm like, "I'm not sure it is, because there are a lot of features of this ship that make it really unique when you know how to fly it." And so that was always the ship that I was good in. I was very proficient in it. I did really well in it. And other ships, like, I would do okay, but it would mainly come down to they didn't have the same acceleration. They didn't have the same features. The gun placement was not always optimal for the shape of the ship. Like on the Gladius, let's say, you have the one center line gun in the nose, and then you have the two on the wings. The two wings were under the wings, and not in a way that like was super conducive to being gimbaled. So you really benefited from them being fixed. And you kind of had to fly the Gladius the same way no matter what.
Well, I mean, every fighter pilot would fix their weapons because that was just the meta.
Right. I wouldn't with the Defender because it really benefited from having the ability to shoot off axis. Because I could be tilted down, let's say, 60 degrees relative to my target and still be able to get shots off because the guns would be able to point that high up. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, like, in that way, the ship combat was very unique to the ship that you were using and the skill that you could bring to it. And what I liked about it over Elite Dangerous was exactly that. Like, even though the ship was built for a certain task, if you had the know-how, you could use it for other things. And like, I know the Defender is also a fighter, but people did not fly it like one because it honestly did not really work like one if you didn't know what you were doing with it. And so I just really appreciated Star Citizen for that. And then Master Modes comes along and they're like, hey, we're going to strip all individuality away from the ship. And I'm like, okay, now it's fucking useless. Like,
yeah, it flies like a
my
brick.
favorite ship. Yeah, it's terrible now. And I hate it because it's literally my favorite ship.
The what was it? The I can't even think all of a sudden. But I don't know. Sorry, I had a thought and I was about to.
It's all good.
And then it's gone.
All
Sorry.
No worries.
I know I've
yeah,
been talking for a while.
No, you're fine. Master modes. So it really just sounds so far, based on all three of our opinions, that it's not. All right, you know what? Hold on, Krendor, you're our logistics officer for the org. How do you feel Master modes impacts cargo? Is it helpful or is it worse? Do you feel that you can escape better at pre-master modes or post-master modes?
Oh, definitely. So post-master modes, here's the problem. You have to choose. Do you go slow with shields that will be shot down very quickly by people who want to kill you and take your cargo, and then you're basically a sitting duck? Or do you want to move quickly with no shields and no countermeasures, and they can just fire missiles off at you and still kill you just as fast while you're spooling up your quantum drive? Which do you think is more conducive to getting out of there? To me, neither. I think
even with the shield buff though, right? Even with master mode, the shield buff.
Yeah, like you don't have your shield. You're in nav mode. You have no shield. You have your quantum drive spooling.
Stompy, didn't you hear?
Duck during this.
During nav mode, your shields don't regenerate anymore. Your shields are turned off in nav mode.
Yep.
Huh?
Yeah, you know how people would go into nav mode to regenerate their shields because their shields are no longer taking damage, so they instantly regenerate.
Yeah.
So they risk the shots to the hull to regenerate shields to come back with full shields.
But if you're getting straight hull damage and component damage, the shields don't regenerate. Period.
Oh no, the shields will. Right. If the shields take damage, they won't regenerate. But if the shields don't take damage, they'll regenerate, even though you're still taking damage. Now, if you switch to nav mode, thanks to the last update or two ago, your shields won't regenerate when you go to nav mode because it shuts off your shield generator. Whatever power you had to your shield stays in the capacitor, but when you shift back to SCM mode, you get that power back, but only that power. No, I mean
Yeah.
it's a good change.
Is it?
But it's I
Is
mean
it though?
it's I mean, do you constantly shift in and out of nav mode to fight? Because I don't.
Well,
I
I don't
commit
play
to
the
a
game
fight.
anymore, so like I haven't flown a ship in like 3 months real time. So
Yeah,
no, I can't
same.
say I do.
For
Like
all of
if I'm in
those
guns mode, I'm in guns mode. I don't use that to my ability
exactly.
at all.
That's exactly
Like
my
it,
point, though. Now, all of those arena commander pilots that are constantly using a tactic of shifting out to run away and recharge shields and come back with full shields can't do that anymore. They can run, sure, but that's it.
they're really shredding PvP
Yeah, and
and
I
wanting to
have
hurt
conflicting
PvP.
feelings about that because, like, on one hand, that's a great tech where you use the mechanics available to you to gain a benefit in a fight, and like, even if it's the other person's chagrin, it doesn't matter because all that matters in a fight is if you win or die. And so,
Yep.
I think for that reason, great mechanic. It's obviously unintentional, but I think that it's one of those that could have stayed. But on the other hand, I could see how that's really fucking annoying for the majority of players, and I would understand. I understand why they would want to remove that. But
Well,
like,
they removed that. That was the one alternate method of skill that the arena commander pilots were utilizing because they took
mm,
away their maneuverability. They can't fly fast. They can't maneuver fast. They can't, tricord, bicord, whatever. They can't do any
Yeah.
of that anymore. Now they've got to rely on the shield loopholes and mechanics of master modes. And then they take
Christ.
what
right,
little edge
yeah,
they had, and they go, no, you can't have that.
yeah. Hey, go fuck yourself. Actually,
You guys
Oh,
gotta
dude.
fight together. You guys gotta be a party and shoot the same target. You guys gotta, numbers, guys, numbers. Don't get me wrong.
it's all about
I
numbers.
like the concept of numbers. I like the concept of flying together as a fleet for the purposes of flying as a fleet. Because in EVE Online, as a pilot of EVE Online, I can heavily respect that because that's how you flew in that game. Not only do you have your build and the uniqueness of your ship, but you also have, the ability to fly as a fleet and just literally erase things off of the field because you go, that guy right there, him, shoot him, and
Mhm.
everyone goes,
That
okay,
dude.
yep, boom, gone. If you have no logistics on the field, it's gone. But I digress. So the fact that you've got that, uh, taking away that skill, it's just taking the PvP community and giving them a big FU all over again.
Yeah,
Yep. I
I'd agree.
agree.
And then the other thing about cargo, the recent changes they've made in 324.
Yeah, let's get to
Specifically
324.
with the Atlas that we talked about before.
That's where we were
I
going before Stumpy came in. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I think the Atlas represents one good thing, which is a fun design for a tractor beam, but it fails in that it's not a good platform for it. So like the way the tractor beam works, if anyone doesn't know, is that you basically pick up a box with it, the same as you would any other tractor beam, and instead of it floating in front of you, it will pick up the box or item, whatever it is you
And
pick up.
Instantly
It'll
real.
hover it. Yeah, it'll reel it towards you, and it'll hover it in place, just at a fixed location relative to where you are. And instead of moving the actual object, what you move is like a ghost of the object, and you can rotate it, you can spin it, you can do anything you want with it, the same as you would a normal tractor beam, except it's locked to the ground or whatever surface you're going to place it on. And when you click to put it down, it will put it down for you. And I think that that is really great. But I think that it being on a mech is really dumb. For one reason, it could just very easily be on a ship-mounted tractor beam slot. Which
Yeah,
would
I
be way better. Like imagine the C1 or the Cutlass Black with that tractor beam on the back.
I think
they
that's
would be
exactly how ship tractor
fantastic.
beams
You would-
need to be. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's a common sentiment that I've seen with people on Spectrum. Is like people want this to be a normal tractor beam feature, like instead of having to scroll wheel constantly and like you ruin your mouse and your finger and whatever the fuck else you have to do to make it work.
I mean,
Like
I want to find a
takes
happy
lot
medium.
of guesswork out.
I would like to find a happy medium between that. Like, with if you mode change without a tractor active, then you change actual modes. If you mode change,
You're right.
sorry, no, I'm my anyways.
Okay.
If you pick up a box and you mode change while you've got the box, then you go from being able to physically manipulate the box to manipulating the ghost of it.
Right.
I think that would be a great change for all tractor beams across the board, including the Atlas
Yeah.
platform. And honestly, since we're talking about the Atlas, the famous cash grab of the quarter.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
$30 for not even a vehicle, a tool.
let's nerf the hand, let's nerf the rifle, and give us a reason to add the Atlas. And the Atlas, they said, is not a vehicle like you said. They said it's a tool, and the tool you have to pay 40 bucks for?
Yeah, 40.
Yeah,
$35 war bond.
35 war bond, 40 credit. That is ridiculous. It should be
price.
You want to do credit? 20 credit. Most 20 credit. Okay?
I think 15 is a good
Look,
point.
Look.
10,
All right.
but I
How
can do
much
it
did you buy the Pulse for? Cuz I bought it for 20.
$20. Yeah,
Yeah.
20.
The Pulse is more useful
And the-
than that damn machine.
It's so much more useful because you could literally fly it like. Okay,
And it's half the cost.
I've taken my Pulse from my hangar in New Babbage through the elevator, through the spaceport, onto the train, and rode the train on my fucking Pulse. Like, it was.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
I
And it was so easy.
I have used and will continue to use my Pulse more times than I will use that Atlas platform, unless you arm that Atlas platform and make it move faster. Which, by the way, it's an exoskeleton. It moves
should move
faster. It's meant to enhance your abilities, not make you more sluggish, because it's not even bulky.
It's really lightweight for what it is, but like for some reason, it doesn't act like it.
People in real life, like literally in real life, the Hacksmith has built exoskeletons that operate better than this one. In real life. and this is a video game in the future. What the fuck?
950 years in the future, and we've only regressed technologically. It doesn't make any sense.
That'll be a rant for next stream.
Yeah.
But
yeah, sure.
Cargo, okay? Let's briefly touch on cargo before wrapping up. But 323 brought us time sync. 324 brought at least 3 times additional time sync, in my personal opinion. What do you guys think?
Oh, yeah, I'd agree. 100%.
Yeah.
Like physicalizing cargo, I was in full support of, because I thought that was awesome. Physicalizing cargo, literally putting it in your ship. Yeah, I am too. I'm still in full support of physicalizing cargo, because I mean it's already here and it's working. But now, if you, for instance, let's not even go the pirate route. Let's say you crash your ship for some fuck odd reason, or you get shot down. You come back to collect your stuff. You manage to push the guys off that killed you. You got to transfer it from one ship to another. That takes time. Okay, that takes you. I don't know, Stumpy. We got pretty good at it. What were we doing? Like 15 minutes to transfer from one ship to another?
Yeah, pretty much.
Roughly. Okay. Well, now imagine this. Now you got to do it 3 times. You got to take it from your hangar, put it in your ship. Your ship crashes. You got to transfer from one ship to another. Okay. Now when you get to the other end, you got to transfer it from your ship back into the hangar again. You got to move your cargo 3 times if you end up crashing or doing some kind of thing that, heaven forbid, the game doesn't work and causes some kind of issue with your ship, and you got to go collect your shit again.
Yeah.
And then the cherry on top is that if you don't want to do it by hand, there is that option. Except it's going to take about the same amount of time, and it's going to cost you money.
Yeah, it's going to cost you the precious money that you had trouble getting until you got the handout that helped you get your cargo to begin with. Now you can trade your cargo, but it's going to take you even more precious time to transfer that stuff. But then you got to spend some more money on top of the cargo you just bought, transfer it to your ship because you don't feel like doing it. Oh, yeah, and then the Atlas.
Doesn't even
Jesus.
fucking. Dude, if the Atlas had thrusters where you could use it in 0G, I would maybe excuse a lot of its problems.
Oh my,
But the fact that it's
that would
literally
be
just a
awesome.
brick, dude, the fact that it's literally just a brick that you can't even get into in 0G is so stupid. Like, I can't wrap my head around that. You have the Argo, we talked about it earlier, the Argo tractor or whatever it's called, the fucking...
Far more useful.
It's like this, it's the same fucking thing, but way more useful. Yeah. Because you can actually use it in you can use it in all environments.
I can tell you
fit in most ships.
I can tell you one thing the Atlas is good for.
Dropping, airdropping.
90,000 meters above the surface, dropping to the surface without a single injury. It's a great drop pod. It's the most expensive drop pod I've seen, but it's a great drop pod. And once you land,
remove the invulnerability.
Yeah, once you land, you gotta abandon it because it takes forever to get anywhere. So you gotta abandon that ship. Plus, it has no weapons. Yeah, it has no weapons. It can't do anything.
It has no armor either, so you can just get shot while you're in it.
Yeah. So I mean, just land, abandon the shit, leave it there. Go do what you gotta do on the ground. Yeah, exactly. Forget about it. Call up insurance a month later.
Here's a question about the Atlas that I never got around to testing because it involved flying a ship and I didn't want to do that. Can you salvage them?
I don't know. I have not tested that either.
Because if you can't salvage them and people start using them as drop pods, that's going to be a problem for the servers for PES. Because their entire tools, not vehicles, I have to remind myself, and they're just going to be sitting there. Because if you can't salvage them, what do you do with them?
it's your new Atlas farm.
Just start collecting them.
Yeah, why not? In all the different 6 colors they put out, because they gotta sell paints with their new tools. Excuse me.
I mean, I'll be honest. I really love the blue paint they put out for it. I did pick that up with credit, but only because it was $5, and I'll eventually be able to buy the Atlas in game anyway. So I'm not buying the Atlas, but the skin is nice. I'll give them that.
I'll admit I did get the Atlas, but it wasn't because it was for the Atlas. I got it because I wanted to test it, but I'm not really going to be using it all that much. Literally, it's going to sit. I'm never probably ever going to touch it. But you know what I am going to do? It's going to be a CCU token down the road because it came with LTI. Yeah, their tool came with LTI.
I've seen mixed reports on whether you can use it as a CCU or not, and I can tell you that you can't upgrade to it, at least, because I wanted to make my Pulse into an Atlas so that I could just buy a Pulse in game. But
of course you can't CCU to it. They wanted cash. Remember, it's you can't do cash grab with credit.
Right.
Come on. Cash grab goes against the whole rule of credit. You can't CCU that thing.
I'm gonna go in the pledge store right now, and I'm gonna go to the ship upgrades, and I'm gonna see if you can upgrade from it.
You can upgrade from it. You just can't upgrade to it. Like I said, cash grab.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely a cash grab.
I want a fresh $40 from every person. Sorry, $35 from every person for this tool that you can paint and cross chassis upgrade. You guys getting the hint yet? It's not a tool.
Yeah, the vehicle that's not a vehicle.
The developer that called it a tool is a tool.
Yeah, I agree. That was a really asinine thing to make a distinction about, because in every single way it is not a tool.
It is a vehicle.
In the way they treat it on the store, it's a vehicle. It gets insurance. You can CCU it like you've said, and in game you fucking enter it. You get inside of it. You turn it on. You pilot it. You pilot the fucking thing. I've never piloted a table saw. You know what I mean? That's a fucking tool.
Look,
I've never
man.
Piloted a hammer. I've operated a table saw and I've used a hammer, but I don't pilot them because they're tools. They're not vehicles.
I've also never piloted a tractor beam.
Right. Because it's a
Well,
tool.
until now.
Yeah, until literally they made the walking tractor beam. It's so stupid.
I agree. Anyways, cargo. Back to this topic. Stompy, you've done enough cargo runs as a pirate. Krendor, you've done enough cargo runs, I'm sure, as logistics. I don't know if you've done anything in 324 yet, but thoughts?
No, I haven't.
One word: disastrous as well.
Yeah, for one word, I would say, awful.
Like, it's just added
Poor
more steps,
implementation.
more tediousness. I get the in quote time sink and immersiveness of it, but it's just like, guys, sometimes we want to make things quick, easy, and fast for all game loops in this game, and you are doing every player in their game loop a disservice for those that are involved in trying to add extra steps.
By the way,
Cargo elevators are a great fucking idea, but it's just like,
So
you should be able to move all your cargo from your ship if you want to create a medium or a.
also,
what do you call it?
I'm just
Like,
gonna
you know
throw.
where I'm going with this, right?
Yeah, I'm just gonna throw this out here. Large hangars and above, independent vehicle elevator, like ground vehicle
Yeah,
elevator.
please.
Stop
Please.
putting it on the
Fucking
main
please.
elevator. Your
Oh my
your
God.
your ad literally showed your vehicles coming up in the cargo elevator. If you're not gonna put them in the cargo elevator, fine. I understand how it's not compatible with your
False
cargo.
advertising. Sorry.
Make its
No,
own
that
elevator.
is- yeah, I completely agree. There's one aspect of this whole cargo thing that we haven't discussed yet, and that is a simple question: what am I moving the cargo for? Okay, so there are two things that you can do in game right now. You can go and pirate people to take their cargo and then sell it. Right? That's great.
Yup.
That's one thing you can do. The other thing you can do, realistically, is take a cargo mission. So you take cargo that you don't own, that you basically get loaned, and you bring it from point A to point B. Fantastic. You get paid for that. It's not a lot of money, but it's mission, it's content, whatever.
And
What
if you fail
incentive-
to do that mission and you keep the cargo instead, they charge you the cost of the cargo and then some.
Right. So, what do I, as a logistics-oriented person, what incentive do I have to move cargo outside of those two contexts with the complete lack of an economy in game and without any crafting system?
But there
Because
is
you
an
have these
economy. The
materials.
NPCs have an economy, guys.
No, they don't. They have a fucking fake one that just gets reset every server tick by like some fucking update that you get in your Moby class that is formatted horribly, that's virtually unreadable, that nobody pays attention to, and that by the time you get from, let's say, New Babbage to ArtCorp has
It's already updated.
changed anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like the prices are not dynamic in a way that makes sense. They're arbitrary. They're completely random. And like, what am I moving this cargo for? Like, I'm not bringing it to somebody's land claim where they have a factory and they're like, oh, I need 1,000 SCU of steel. I'll pay X amount per SCU. And then I'm like, great, I'll bring you that steel. There's no city that is like manufacturing a ship that needs, like, let's say, corundum or something.
Could you
There's nothing like that.
could you imagine if landing
There's
zones
no
actually
reason.
required a stock of material from the missions to produce the ships that
yeah.
people buy?
That's the idea I think they want to get to eventually.
Well,
But here's the
no,
problem,
I'm talking
there's
about the
not
NPCs.
any
I know
semblance
players
of
will do
that.
that. Players will be able to
No,
do
I'm
that.
talking about NPCs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, they want something like that because like the way they want to structure the NPCs is that they want them to be indistinguishable from players, which will never happen just from a
Yeah.
perception standpoint. But like mechanically, they want NPCs to be able to do all of the same things a player does. It's just the ratio will be like 9 NPCs or something to 1 player. So 90% of the population of the universe will be NPC run. So that mean like NPCs in cities will need materials to make ships. Like Like if Crusader needs a, I don't know, like what's a metal in the game? I already said corundum. Like let's say they
Iron.
need tungsten.
Iron,
Yeah,
tungsten,
iron.
copper, tungsten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll put out, we need X amount, like there's demand for X amount of whatever, and it'll be dynamic based on the ships
Based on
that are
supply.
produced within the city.
Yeah.
Based on supply and demand, yeah. So like whatever is going on in the city will create a reason to move cargo from city to city. But right now there's nothing like that. Like there's not even a little resemblance of it. The cargo missions are just, they're just whatever. There's no reason for them.
Also, I'm completely okay with things being seeded in the game, but if you're gonna seed things in the game for a market, then you have to allow there to be like put it way up there, so that way players can undercut the market and generate their own market. Let players be the star of this show. Don't try and make your NPCs and your mechanics be the star of the show, because otherwise it's just gonna flop. Players are gonna hate it.
Oh,
I already hate the thought of you possibly doing that. Like you haven't even done it yet, and I'm already angry at you, CIG.
Yeah, and no, it's not.
And I'm angry because I know you're gonna do it. Good.
Here's
Sorry.
the thing. It's like everything in this game. It's a great idea on paper, but it really comes down to execution, and they, more often than not, do
Drop
not
the ball.
execute.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Pretty much.
they just, I can't deal with it, frankly.
All right, Stompy,
So,
from the pirate.
I don't see a reason.
Right. Stompy, from the pirate's perspective, cargo, go.
It's just as tedious as the cargo guys. Like I feel bad for them because now at the same time they're now feeling the pain and anxiety and suffering that we have to, and just offloading. It's just now they're literally feeling the exact same thing, and it really puts them at kind of a shortcoming if they're trying to move fast, move efficient, and make as much money as possible. As a pirate, I really couldn't give a shit because I'm gonna steal it and do one step out of it. But they now added one extra step to the cargo players themselves.
All right, so I love how they managed to alienate both the pirates and the cargo guys all in the same go. Okay, so
Right? It's fantastic.
Krendor, you take the time to load up your ship with cargo from your station, from your own stash. This is your stuff. You've managed to collect it once before, which, by the way, you've already put the time in to collect it. Right? Now it's in your station. Now you need to move it. Okay, so you take the time to put it into your ship. You get in your ship, you leave your hangar, which is instance, and so, you know, they can't harass you while you're in there. So you leave your hangar out of the safety of your hangar, and you get out in the verse, and Stompy catches you, right? You're at your cell location where you're going to drop off your stuff, or you're just getting to it. He catches you, and he soft deaths your ship, and now he's moving that same cargo from your ship to his ship, which he would have done already because it was physicalized cargo like 2-3 updates ago. So, you know, that's already something we're accustomed to doing. He moves it from your ship to his ship, and now he takes it, and he takes it to his hangar and moves it from his ship into his hangar because he's got to sell it. And in order to sell it, it can't be on his ship anymore. It has to be in his inventory. So they've added an additional step for both sides, which equally frustrate both sides. How frustrated would you be if you spent a half hour loading your ship only to lose it 20 minutes later?
Considering me simply leaving a city is enough to get me to stop playing the game at this point, I just would not play it again. Like that would just be
what the fuck for are we doing this? Like,
okay.
What is the baseline incentive after everything?
There's no incentive to do anything in the game right now. And you know
now,
what? People aren't doing things in the game.
Now, I know it's an alpha, and alphas being the state that they're in, Stompy, you're offloading into your cargo, but you haven't lowered the elevator yet, and the game crashes. Or you crash out of the game, or something happens where you can't get back into that server anymore.
I mean, not my money, not my problem, but it's a pain
But
in the ass still
you
because
just
it's money lost.
you just spent your time twice now offloading from his ship to your ship and from your ship to the hangar.
Yeah, but I didn't invest 10 million credits into it.
Well, I mean, technically at this point, neither has Krendor because he already owned this cargo. This was just time investment.
Yeah. Like,
okay,
let's say it's salvage material that I got from my reclaimer, right?
So
like,
he's already. Yeah, this is just time investment at this point.
Yeah, yeah, it's yeah, basically.
So
like,
Now, let me ask this final follow-up question, because I'm curious to know where each of you stand, being on two different spectrums of the play arcs. Krender, I know you engage in PvP actively as well, but
I
um,
used to. I'm retired now.
but all right. So, do you see the updates of 323 and 324 actually coming into maturity and becoming something useful and productive in game as opposed to something that's just a time sink right now? Or do you see that 323 and 324 have really just started putting nails in the coffin?
I'm gonna sound a lot like Salty Mike. I don't see anything in this game happening until there's an economy, frankly.
Yeah.
I don't care what mechanics they put in. There is zero reason to do anything in the game other than like have fun, and you can't even really have fun at this point. So,
Yep.
what is there to do in the game? Like, at least for me, FPS it's fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with the FPS aside from little things like I don't like sniper glint, but that's just a different point for a different time.
Yeah, that's a whole
like,
different rant.
yeah, but like if I want my FPS fix, you know what I can go do? I can go play one of like 30 COD games that have mastered FPS over the years that like literally have it down to a formula that works, and like I could have a great time doing FPS. If I want to do logistics gameplay, you know what I could do? I could go play Satisfactory or Dyson Sphere Program or Factorio or literally any other logistics-oriented game that
X4.
actually like, yeah, X4. Anything that gives you things to do in the game that actually like has feedback and like a purpose to it, you could do that. Combat, ship combat. There's not really a game that I would say matches pre-323. And so like that does suck that that's kind of not really a thing I can do anymore. But X4 does get kind of close. It's fun in its own way. It's not the same, but it's got its moments.
So
and then like just exploration. I guess the game is pretty, but like what am I exploring for other than like to see pretty colors?
It's a great
and stuff?
Screenshot emulator.
It really is a really good B-roll generator.
Yeah.
So I haven't been watching chat, and Daldrin from our community has jumped into chat and has said a few comments. So I'm going to read off what he's talking about.
Okay.
So he says the only thing that he doesn't really like about the mech is that it hovers the crate so high. Now I can answer to that. The reason why it hovers so high up is that way you have a clear field of view as the operator. I don't like it either, but it also does. I can appreciate having the clear field of view. That's the only thing I can speak on that.
I'd agree with that. You need to be able to see. Like, even for all of its problems, at least you can see while you're using it.
Right. He has 3 comments here. The second one is in comment to something we said. I don't have a timestamp, so I can't figure out exactly where that was from.
Okay.
But the last one says the end goal, we just got a placeholder for now. He puts that as a question mark, so basically he's assuming that everything that's in 323 and 324 is just placeholder until the full functionality can come to fruition. That's what I'm assuming he means.
I
Daldrin,
get the
correct
feeling
me
that
if
was
I'm
in
wrong.
reference to the economy. Was that about the economy? It kind of feels like it. What was it? Did he have a third comment?
Yeah, the building blocks, he says.
Oh, okay, that was the third.
But not the whole thing. So anyways, I agree.
Yeah.
Wholeheartedly. I think that there is some maturity to be had, but I think that CIG needs to step very carefully as to how they mature these 2 elements they've added into the game, because right now they feel very clunky. There's no quality of life to it, and honestly, quality of life is absolutely what's needed right now in the next update in order to make anything that you've added in 323 and 324 worth fighting for.
Oh, but Kelbeck, 323 was the quality of life update.
You are really good at jokes. Stop that.
That's what they marketed it as. Like,
there were some quality of life features that they brought in, but the thing is they did not. 323 and 324 was supposed to be one package. It was supposed to be one update.
Yeah.
We should have gotten all this at once, which means it would have pissed off everyone all in the same go.
Yeah,
But
and honestly, I feel like that would have been better for the community long term, because at least that would unite people instead of like dividing them between two different patches. You know what I mean?
yeah, and like I said in the beginning of all this, I feel like we have lost half of our org interest, I should say. Not we haven't lost the people. They're still here. They're still kicking. They're just waiting for something interesting to bring them back. And so am I. I'm
And that
honestly.
includes me.
Yeah.
You better come back. I'm gonna hunt you down, boy.
I'm planning on coming back, dude. I didn't support this game this hard to just fucking leave it.
Right.
Not yet.
But 323, I feel, killed off the PvP aspect of our org, at least a good part of it. And then 324, which is funny, like we get master modes, they go, oh, it's gonna change the flight model, and fucks it up, and everyone hates it.
Did.
And then 324, they go, it's gonna improve,
It changed it a lot.
right? It's gonna improve the cargo experience, and it's gonna help things a lot. And then all the cargo guys go, yeah, no, we're done.
Experience, all right. God damn.
And so
It's
between
just like-
323 and 324, I now have a mostly dead org. I've got like 10% participation at the moment out of all of our members, and that's honestly to be expected. That's normally our winter numbers. Like during the winter time, I expect 10% of participation, or 20% at most, because people are Christmas, holidays, whatever, and we're actually getting into that holiday now, or that season now. So I don't expect activity to come back till spring, and that is a long ass time. That's like almost 2 whole quarters.
Yeah. Which is ridiculous. Like the game should. Okay, so if it's an alpha, right? Like we agree that this game is still being made.
Oh, 100%.
That's a point that we can all agree on. So if they want the game to be developed in a way that it gets player feedback, and they don't have players, how are they going to develop the game moving forward in a way that makes people want to come back? Like I feel like this is starting to become an Ouroboros, where they implement new features, people don't like it, they leave, they iterate on those features with less player feedback, and then the people who are there don't like the changes that they make, they also leave. People don't come back because they haven't fixed the features that they ruined before, and you just get this cycle where the game starts eating itself.
You start
And I don't
kicking
wanna see
players
that
at
happen.
every cycle. Yeah, you start, because you're not getting the feedback of the players that left, because you're not reaching out to
Right.
them. You're reaching out to your current player base, and they go, yeah, we like it the way it is. That's why we're still here.
Right.
And then eventually you're gonna get down to your last 100 players, and they're gonna be like, it's fine. It's on fire, but it's fine.
Yeah, it's okay. There's nothing. It's fine. I'm enjoying it.
So-
And they're like the deluded ones that will say they like it no matter what, because they're just victims to sunk cost fallacy. So whatever. I
So
guess.
Daldrin had another comment, a suggestion to help cargo, and honestly, I think it's a kind of a cool idea to think about. I don't know how they'd implement it, but he says one thing that might help cargo. I don't know, but the large tractor beams be able to carry groups of items as opposed to individual ones.
Yes. No, I had
please,
the
that's the best
I had the
suggestion ever.
same idea when I got in the Atlas at first, because like when you look at if you have like let's say 4 32 SCU boxes, they all combine to just make one big box. Like every SCU box
Yep.
is designed to interlock with each other.
Can
So
we-
Why is there not a system by which you can interlock the boxes? Because if you look at a lot of them, they actually on the corners and along the sides have little grooves and things where it looks like they fit together like a Lego. So why can't we just via space magic fucking put little magnets in there that we toggle on and off, which is a technology that we've had since the 50s, since the 1950s. Why can't we just put that in there and then voila, you have one giant box that you can move with your Atlas. That would be a good implementation of the Atlas, because obviously I wouldn't expect a max lift tractor beam, something I carry in my arms the size of a rifle, to pick up what's 32 times 4? Was that 128?
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect that to pick up 128 SCU, but a mech with a tractor beam on it, that would be a good application for it. So
Well, I
I
mean-
completely agree with this guy. It's a good
Yeah.
idea.
So, what about the the oxy-torch attachment to the multi-tool. Why can't we just weld it together?
Right, yeah, give that a fucking use. What is that thing used for? Literally
Cutting?
nothing.
Cutting
think-
something
I
that
think
doesn't
there's one
exist?
door. I think there's like one door type that's only at the jump town locations that you can actually cut with that, and I think that's it. I think it's literally just one door type.
It is effectively feature incomplete.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I've never seen anybody use the oxy torch for anything, and like I've tried to use it. It doesn't work. It just doesn't.
No.
You
You
would
can't-
think
you
that
can't
it would
break into
apply
ships.
damage over time.
Yeah, I want to
exactly.
break
You'd
into
think it'd
ships.
Be good for that.
Let me just pull out my handy dandy oxy torch and weld this or cut this door open.
It'd be really sick because then you just have a thing. You have like a key. You have a universal key on your hip.
Right? It's the key to the universe.
Yeah. You just get a skeleton key. You like a few thousand credits. That's it. You just do that and a little bit of elbow grease, and you can get into any ship. But no, they have to give us a tool that doesn't do anything. That we just, I don't know, jerk off with. Like, what do you do with it?
Wait,
You
so
light
it's
your
actually
non-existent
cool shit.
cigarettes with it.
Stupid.
Yeah, I agree. Rather than shoot the door open, use the multi-tool because, you know, some people want to be
That would
stealthy.
give it a function. Yeah, like make it quiet.
I mean,
like
I can't punch in Dead Space, but I can pull out my oxy torch and cut that door open. Which brings me back to the point: how come I can punch a door open? A
Video
sliding
game
door,
logic.
a sliding door of all things. I could just imagine someone just let me in, let me in, let me in, and then finally lets them in because you know they banged on it enough.
I feel like that's literally a scene in Star Trek. I feel like I've seen that literally happen in Star Trek.
Right.
I couldn't name an episode, but I feel like I've seen that.
Anyways, we are on our fourth pass through the Star Engine trailer, so I think it's a good time to start wrapping things up.
All right.
This went quite a bit longer. I think I'm gonna have to plan like 2.5 hours of video footage of something. Maybe the next time I can find the
I've got a big backlog of stuff I can give you.
yeah, we'll just start playing things from like 318.
Yeah, that's where most of my footage is from. It's like me doing combat when combat
Oh.
would.
You know what? I've got a bunch of time of us manning that Idris. I think next week
That would be
when we do
that'd
this,
be great.
we'll just we'll restream the Idris event.
Hell yeah.
So if you're interested in seeing what we did with the Idris in very slow and boring fashion, I've got some good footage of that, and I'm sure I can grab some from Krendor too when he was piloting, and we can
Yeah, I
have some
to
good
see
fun
if
with
I
it.
have that. I don't remember if I recorded or not, honestly.
But-
I'm pretty sure I did, but I gotta check.
What's today? Today's Wednesday. I think Wednesday's a pretty good day to do this. I think we'll do this again next Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, and we'll just plan for 2 hours next time and call it good.
All right, yeah, sounds good.
And hopefully I can be
This
a
was
little bit
good
more.
discussion.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, all right. Long story short, let's answer the question via our
Little
own
summary.
opinions of what the title of this stream was. Do you feel that 323 and 324 have damaged the game beyond repair, or do you feel that it was beneficial to the game? And if you have somewhere in between, then maybe you could, iterate. Stomp.
I think
Krender, you go first. Sorry, you started.
I think the devs saw the game sitting at a bar and were like, "Hey, what if we just slipped a Rufalin in their drink, and then the game just is like passed out in an alleyway?" You know what I mean?
So we're just waiting for it to wake up.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're just waiting for the game to wake up and realize what's happened to it, so that way it can be scarred for life and have like trauma for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
And then when the game gets a boyfriend, it carries that trauma on into the relationship, and
Oh
wait.
my god.
feel like we
Yeah,
should.
no, I feel like the game is broke.
I feel like we're getting into some dangerous territory here. Stompy, what are your thoughts? 323, 324, was it useful or was it detrimental to the long-term longevity of the game? Wow, that was redundant.
Absolutely useless. Absolutely useless. How about how about this? It was a good learning experience to have the devs hopefully learn from the player base on both sides of the spectrum, metaphorically and literally, as far as what not to do and how not to move forward with certain ideas, because those are not very efficient, productive, and very fun grounds for ideas they want to implement.
I mean, I like the mechanics that they have added to the game. I don't like the activities that they have forced us to do.
Yeah,
I agree.
exactly.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I really do like the ideas that they have, but I don't think they're executing on them at all.
Nope.
I personally feel that the implementation of 323 and 324 as it stands is detrimental to the game if they do not do anything in the next update to further flesh that out and make it more reasonable or quality of life. I think it's going to hurt the player base for longer because it's going to take another 2 updates before they realize that there's something useful to come back to.
Yeah, it's the Ouroboros. They got to stop the snake from eating its own tail.
Exactly.
So, all right, guys, that was the end of the 4th playthrough. So we will stop there.
All right.
And
by the way, I do want to note through this whole conversation, despite all of the negative things I've said about the game, I have been cuddling my Finley plushie this entire time.
all right, love it. I mean, I gave mine to my son, and I have no clue where it got off to. So,
I gotta give me a freaking narwhal plushie, man.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, the Finley plush is really nice. It's so soft and like, it's stuffed well. Like, it's a really good plushie.
At least they can do one thing right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, Daldrin, Aaron, thanks for stopping by the stream and hanging out with us and watching us kind of talk about the bullshit in the last 2 updates of Star Citizen, and hopefully we touched on a few good things that might have caught your attention. I see a few good things, diamonds in the rough, but unless things are cleaned up, it's gonna hurt things a lot more than it's gonna help things.
Yeah.
So with that, guys, thank you. This is a good second attempt at first attempt at getting the stream to happen. So thank you for stopping by, and we're gonna do this again next week. We're gonna do the same time frame, Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, and we'll be streaming for probably another 2 hours. So if you guys are up for it, I've got seats for 4 people, counting myself. So yeah, I'll be posting that up a couple days prior to in the Halstern Discord, and you can RSVP a seat if you want to talk about what we're going to be talking about for that week.
It's good fun.
Yeah. Any closing statements, guys?
I really want the game to go back to where it was in 322.
Okay, Stompy.
I could not agree anymore.
You can't agree anymore. Why?
No, like I couldn't agree anymore.
He fully agrees.
Yeah, I 100% agree. 120% agree. Count me in. Like,
I knew what you meant. I just want to make sure that there was clarity for everyone else. I was just digging with you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, guys. Have a good one. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you next week.
Have a good one.